It's empty.
Good riddance, I say.
So, you're up at last.
Is something the matter, Addie?
Oh, I see. You don't remember last night, do you? I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Please tell me I didn't do anything stupid last night.
No, I wouldn't use the word stupid.
Oh, thank God.
Disgusting and shameful would be more appropriate, I think.
Oh. What did I do, exactly?
It was nearly 2 when you burst in here, soused to the eyeballs from God knows where. I imagine you've probably forgotten that, too. You were muttering something about peace and quiet and then proceeded to relieve yourself on my begonias before stumbling into bed.
Charming. I salute you, O Vice Admiral of the Narrow Seas.
Good God. How embarrassing. I'm so sorry, Addie. I don't know what came over me.
I don't either. I've never seen you in such a state, and I pray that I never will again.
I just bit off more than I could chew last night. I promise you, it won't happen again.
What possessed you to go out and get so drunk anyway?
I decided to stop taking the soporific. It was interfering with my ability to focus on cases. I thought perhaps having a drink or two would help me sleep, and I got a bit carried away.
I see. Well, I'm at least glad you've stopped taking that terrible medicine. But trading it for alcohol? This had better really be a one-time occurrence. Anyway, you got another message from Upton. It's there on the table, if you're feeling fit for the world now.
Huh.
What does Upton say this time?
That she can't meet me, and that I should go straight to the scene of the crime.
I wonder if that means the police have started to suspect that she's giving you these cases.
She also says news of this case has been made public, and the police are already investigating. It explains the article in the newspaper.
Which one?
The one about Desiree Lathan, the woman who was found burnt to death.
Ugh, that sounds absolutely dreadful. Where's the crime scene?
840 Right Way. It's not too far from here, thankfully.
You're sure you're feeling up to this today?
I'll be fine. The mental exercise will get me back to normal in no time. Well, this is shaping up to be quite the investigation. I should probably get a move on before the police ruin the crime scene any more than they already have.
Good luck, Miles. And stay away from the bars, would you?
Have a lovely day, Addie.
Take care of yourself out there.
Looks as though we've arrived fashionably late.
Excuse me, sir, but this is an active crime scene. We can't allow members of the public.
Oh, this isn't just any member of the public, Kane. This is Miles Fordham. He used to be one of us until he killed his partner.
Wonderful. Officer Parsons is on the scene. It's a shock the apartment isn't in a shambles.
Good day to you too, officers.
Fordham? What are you doing here?
Ah, Captain Snelling. What a pleasure.
That's Chief Snelling now, Fordham. I don't expect you follow the workings of the department much these days, but I'd appreciate the proper address.
So nice to see that power hasn't gone to his head.
My apologies, Chief Snelling.
You haven't answered my question. What in blazes are you doing here?
You want this crime solved, don't you? I'm conducting my own query. I could be an asset to your investigation.
Out of the question. This is an active crime scene, Fordham. Leave the premises immediately.
I could solve this case in no time if we work together, you know.
We don't need any help, not even from former detectives. Parsons, I'm going back to the station. I want you to report the minute you're done here. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, don't get any funny ideas, Fordham. If you so much as breathe on anything in here, I'll have you arrested for tampering with a crime scene. Do I make myself clear?
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Your impudence is going to catch up with you one of these days, Fordham.
I suppose it's reassuring that even in this crazy, ever-changing world, you can always count on Snelling to be a complete ass.
You heard the chief. No snooping around. The sooner you get out of here, the better for all of us.
An invitation to the Gascon Grand Dame's Ball. It seems it was held 2 nights ago at the Gascon Supper Club. Might be worth looking into, seeing as it's our only lead right now. No title. I doubt it's a diary. People rare. Judging by these books, Miss Lathan was quite the fan of poetry. Let's just hope her taste was better than Madame Dupre's. You have to hand it to her. Miss Lathan certainly had a unique taste in fashion. I bet you could see her coming a mile away.
Excuse me, Officer Parsons.
Clear off, Fordham. The chief doesn't want you here, and neither do I. You aren't on the force anymore, so you've got to respect the rules, just like every other citizen.
He'd be respecting my fist if I were alive, believe me.
I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I just want to ask a few questions.
Well, if it will get you to leave faster.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
Nothing.
Because you don't know?
No, because I'm not going to betray Chief Snelling's orders and divulge that information to the public.
Come on, Parsons, you know me. What harm would it do to tell me just a little bit?
Do I have to state the obvious? If it were up to me, you'd be in jail for murdering an officer.
I wouldn't make such claims without knowing the facts, Parsons. It could get you in serious trouble. It'd be a real tragedy to see your career cut short and you back in the workhouse polishing airship rivets.
You don't scare me, Fordham.
Rest assured, the feeling is mutual. Have you made much progress on this investigation?
Did you not hear me the first time, Fordham? Drop it before I have to arrest you for interfering with a police investigation.
You're looking well these days, Parsons. What's your secret?
Secret? I don't know. Maybe something about getting a good night's sleep without blood on my hands does wonders.
How long has Officer Kane been on the force?
I'm not one to gossip, Fordham.
That's only the second most hypocritical thing I've heard today.
Ask him yourself if you're so interested.
Why was Chief Snelling here anyway?
He's the chief of police, and this is an official investigation. It doesn't take a grand leap of logic.
Yes, but the chief of police never bothers with a crime scene unless it's of great importance.
Your point?
Does that mean this crime scene is, in fact, of great importance?
You're the investigator, Fordham. I'll leave you to work that one out.
That's all I wanted to know.
Good.
Judging by these books, let's just hope we're
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
Is there anything you can tell me about Desiree Lathan?
I'm afraid not. You don't have clearance in this investigation.
And there's nothing I can say to convince you otherwise?
My superiors would be very upset if they knew I was breaking the rules. I'm sorry.
I think the operative phrase in this instance is if they knew. We need to find a way to get Parsons out of here. Maybe we should visit Upton at the station.
Thanks for your time, officer.
Not a problem.
I didn't imagine we'd be coming back here in this lifetime.
Fordham, have you solved the case already?
Don't I wish? I haven't even gotten started.
Well, I'm here if you need anything. Just Be sure not to let Snelling see you.
Is he back yet?
He arrived a few minutes ago. I expect he'll be sequestered in his office today, so you shouldn't have to worry too much.
Good to know.
The old Jack and Stars. I don't think I've ever seen anyone reading those books. I'm half convinced they're purely decorative. Miles, are you crazy? If you go wandering around the department for no good reason, Snelling will have you thrown in the jail. Miles, are you crazy?
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
Back to work, I see.
Yes, well, the coffee shop holiday had to... I'm gonna have to find someplace else to meet you. The higher-ups are getting suspicious.
To be honest, it was a bit wretched there. I won't miss it.
Well then, Mr. Big Bug, you can have the honor of choosing the next place. Under a bridge somewhere, perhaps.
Have you been able to find any leads on Bill's death?
Have you?
Not yet, no.
I've been looking, but I haven't been able to come up with anything either. There has to be a connection somewhere. Criminals don't usually just fall off the map.
I'm having some trouble with Officer Parsons.
You and everyone else who's ever met him. What's the problem?
He's keeping me away from the Latham crime scene.
Of course. He's one of the most loyal to Snelling.
Any suggestions for how I might get him away so I can look around?
I might have an idea. There are several reported crimes that haven't been assigned yet, and Parsons is itching to prove his investigative chops. He'd probably abandon his post for a good enough lead and a chance to impress Snelling.
Up to no good. You impress me.
Department politics are something of a specialty of mine.
How about getting Parsons away from the crime scene?
All right, these are the, as of yet, unassigned crimes. The body of a young man was found in the Hodgman River by the Gascon docks this morning. A woman in Chumley reported hearing a single gunshot in her neighbor's apartment last night. There was a deadly explosion at a factory in Worcester that may be linked to sabotage. And that's it for right now. Any of those strike your fancy?
Tell me more about the body found at the docks.
An unidentified man in his 20s was found in the river near the docks. The dock worker who reported it said that the body was bloated and decomposing. It must have been in the river several days. Dr. Edwards performed a post-mortem and determined the cause of death to be a blow to the head.
I see. Certainly leaves a lot of questions.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
Sounds good. Let's go with that one.
All right, I'll send out the report as soon as we're done talking.
Any updates on the Harris baby?
He's back home and doing well thanks to you.
I'm glad to hear it.
You did an impressive job. I admit I was a bit concerned about how you'd fare after months of taking it easy. But I suppose detective work is like riding a bicycle.
It's a guaranteed way to end up with a broken arm.
I see the Gazette has caught wind of this supposed mass murderer.
Yes, Snelling has been positively fuming about it. Between that and the Latham case being publicized on the same day, it's been a nightmare for the department.
Any idea how they got the information?
I don't think anyone in the department has spoken to the press. Maybe they just have some very good reporters.
So, is it serious? Should we be concerned?
3 murders is nothing to sneeze at, but all the victims have been men in Chumley. If that changes, then things might start getting urgent.
Isn't that just the way it is? You can bet they'd have already caught the bastard if the first body had turned up in Leon.
Have a moment to go over my current case?
I'm afraid you're on your own this time, Fordham. The walls have ears around here. If they find out I'm helping you, it won't end well for either of us.
Understood.
I'll still be here when you've solved it, though.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it, then.
Prime Minister Atwood, watching over the department with his signature scowl. Nobody's bothered clearing this table yet, it seems. These are all high-end foo-foo liqueurs and cordials. You couldn't pay me to drink that rubbish.
Excuse me, miss?
Oh, well, hello there, handsome. I've never seen you around here before. Care to join me for a drink?
A bit early in the day, don't you think?
Perhaps I would think, if I wasn't on my third cocktail.
Impressive. You may have just met your match.
The name's Miles Fordham, and you are?
Charlotte Robineau.
Pleasure. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
I suppose not. It would help pass the time.
Were you here for the Grand Dame's ball the other night?
Of course, we all were. Well, except for Laura. Terrible business.
You mean Laura Dupre?
The very same. Have you met?
I have. In fact, I investigated her attempted murder.
Is that right? I heard she ended up in jail for torturing her servants.
Yes, it was quite disturbing.
I didn't think Laura was capable of such a thing. She always seemed so kind. I guess we all have our dark secrets.
Does that apply to you as well, Miss Robineau?
If I told you, then it would no longer be a secret, would it?
Fair point. Do you know Desiree Lathan?
I knew her, yes.
When did you last speak to her?
Oh, it's been ages. She and I haven't had much to do with each other for a while.
Why is that?
It's really not important. We just didn't see eye to eye on a few things.
Was she at the Grand Dame's ball?
Yes, she was. Drinking up a storm as usual. Desi really knew how to enjoy herself.
How much did she drink?
Oh, I don't know. She used to outmatch me, and I can handle quite a bit.
What can you tell me about Desiree's death?
Just what I've read in the papers. She burned to death. It's horrible. She certainly didn't deserve to die in such a gruesome way.
Did she have any enemies? Anyone who might have wanted to do her harm?
No. Everyone loved her.
Except you?
Mr. Fordham, I said we haven't had much to do with each other. That doesn't mean I didn't care for her. Now please, let's drop the subject.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Why, Mr. Fordham, I hardly know you. Well, that said, I'm always open to making new friends.
Ooh, watch out, Miles. I think she's getting ready to pounce.
You've really got a great sense of fashion and style. All the other Grand Dames must be jealous.
Oh, you.
I must compliment you on your lovely hairstyle.
Oh, how sweet of you to say. Though it is getting a bit ragged. I'm having it done this afternoon, in fact. My girl Adelaide is a treasure.
You don't say. Well, she must be talented to improve on near perfection.
Oh, such a flattering tongue, Mr. Fordham.
Can I just say you've got the most radiant smile I've ever seen?
Oh, why, that's very sweet of you, Mr. Fordham.
It's true. Not many women your age still have all their teeth intact.
I beg your pardon.
I didn't know you were such a master of the high kick, Miles. You got your foot in your mouth in record time.
You know what? Thanks for your time.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Damn, looks like Parsons didn't take the bait. He must not have considered that case enough to prove himself to Snelling.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes?
Unfortunately, Parsons didn't take the bait.
Nothing worse than a picky investigator. I wish more people were like you.
Thank you?
All right, these are the, as of yet, unassigned crimes. A woman named Chumley reported hearing a single gunshot in her neighbor's apartment last night. There was a deadly explosion at a factory in Worcester that may be linked to sabotage. And that's it for right now. Any of those strike your fancy?
Give me the details about the factory explosion.
The owner of the Hawkins Steelworks reported an explosion at his factory that killed 2 of his workers. He says he's been getting several threatening letters about his current project.
And so he suspects someone has sabotaged the operation?
Yes, likely the Redites. Do you think Parsons will be interested?
No, actually.
All right.
Let's hear about the gunshot.
Ethel Williamson reported hearing a sound she described as a single gunshot coming. She said she had been hearing arguments over the past several weeks, and there may have been domestic violence involved. When she knocked on the door, she got no answer, but she said she noticed the distinct smell of flowers.
Intriguing.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
No, actually, let's try another one.
All right. Which one?
Give me the details about
He says...
And so...
Yes, likely the rest. Do you think Parsons will be...
Sounds good.
All right. I'll send out the report as soon as we're done talking.
That's it for now.
Better get back.
Damn, looks like Parsons didn't take the bait. He must not...
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but
Unfortunately, Parsons didn't take the bait.
Nothing worse than a picky investigator. I wish more people were like you.
Thank you?
All right, these are the, as of yet, unassigned crimes. A woman named Chumley reported hearing a single gunshot in her neighbor's apartment last night. And that's it for right. Any of those strike your...
Let's hear...
Ethel,
Intrigued.
Do you think Parsons will be...
Sounds good.
All right.
That's it.
Better get...
Looks like Parsons took the bait. Now maybe we can finally have a look around the crime scene.
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
Is there anything you can tell me about Desiree Lathan?
I couldn't really say.
Come now, I'm trying to help this investigation.
Well, I haven't really looked over the crime scene too much. It's rather gruesome, you see.
Is the body still here?
Yes, what's left of it at any rate. Miss Lathan was only identified by the tattoo on her foot.
I see. Has there been much progress here?
Snelling and Parsons examined the scene, that's all I know.
Do you think I might have a look, now that the initial investigation's been conducted?
I'm afraid that's out of the question, sir. I have my orders.
I'll be in and out before you know it. I'll leave no more trace than a ghost.
If Parsons were to catch you, my career would be over.
Trust me, you won't be back for some time. I swear on my honor as a former member of the New Britannia Police.
All right. I suppose you can go in for a moment, but please be quick about it.
Thank you, Officer Kane. I promise this will stay between us.
I just love rookie officers. They're so gullible. I once got one to shine my shoes for a week after convincing him it was department policy. Good times.
Do you enjoy working with Officer Parsons?
If I'm being honest, he can be a bit much sometimes.
Trust me, you're not the only one who feels that way. I didn't have much interaction with him when I was a detective. But the few times I did weren't very pleasant.
I could tell he doesn't seem to care much for you. Although I don't think he cares much for anyone except the chief. And that's only because he's the one who gives out the promotions.
What was Chief Snelling doing here?
He was inspecting the crime scene.
Yes, but why was he involved? Is there something special about it that would require the chief of police to look into it?
Well, someone thought it might be related to the big case we're not supposed to talk about.
You mean the mass murderer?
Yes, sir. I could see why the chief is upset that the news has gotten out.
And is it related?
No, I don't believe so. But the news reports have been getting the public on edge.
Of course. The less information there is, the easier it is for rumors to start spreading.
Exactly. Chief Snelling has a lot of fires to put out.
If that's the case, it's too bad he didn't get to Miss Lathan in time.
Thanks for your time, officer.
Not a problem.
That's certainly a pungent aroma. I can see why the officer stuck to the living room.
Surprisingly modest quarters for a grande dame. You'd never guess she could buy out the likes of you and me 1,000 times over. Some crumpled up letters. They look to be of the romantic variety.
They're from the same person, one Peter Andrews.
It's always sad to see a case of unrequited love. I'm thinking we should find out who this Peter Andrews is.
Good idea. Now, are you finally willing to admit that looking through rubbish does yield results sometimes?
Fine, you win. But I don't think I envy your prize. It looks as though Miss Lathan was in the middle of writing something.
It's an article for Brentwell magazine.
Igniting the fires within. A bit on the nose, wouldn't you say? Classic Brentwell. They have a reputation for making their writers go to extremes for their articles, all for the sake of entertainment.
Perhaps we should pay their offices a visit, see exactly what it was Miss Lathan was doing for them.
As much as I like this painting, this isn't the time for art appreciation. Doesn't look as though this fireplace has been used in a long time. I suppose we can rule it out as the source. That's a nice portrait of Miss Lathan. Too bad it was damaged by the fire. The area where the artist's signature should be has been singed and is unreadable. Too bad.
But the date is still legible. It's from this year.
Odd. Another pile of ashes under the bed. Looks as though whatever she kept underneath got burned too. Or it could be that whatever was under the bed is what caught fire in the first place. Although, there's no evidence of what started it. All that's left is a small piece of cloth. Might as well take it.
The cloth appears to have some oily residue on it. Interesting.
Ashes to ashes and all that. I'm glad I was buried. Cremation always seemed a bit too hot to handle.
Now's not the time for jokes, Bill.
Are you serious? Death is the best time for jokes. Otherwise, it's all just a bunch of boo-hoo-hoo this and wah-wah-wah that. And trust me, there's plenty of that in life. Hell, you'd know better than anyone.
All right. Just shut it for a bit while I look over the crime scene, would you? I need to concentrate.
I don't think Desiree will be able to give us a hand with this investigation.
Bill?
What? I thought it was funny. Ugh, greasy, fetid, stinking ashes. Who knew the human body was capable of producing such a disgusting byproduct?
I'm surprised the coroner hasn't taken the body away yet.
Probably because there isn't much of a body left to take. Either that or Dr. Edwards knows better than to deal with something like this.
That's extremely unlike him. He'd jump at the chance to examine this body. Perhaps we should allow him the pleasure.
I hope you're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting. Alas, poor Desiree, a woman of infinite riches, of tastes most fancy. Where's all your money now? Come to think of it, that question might be worth answer. There's a tattoo on her ankle. It says, "Dancing through life." Hate to break it to her, but that dance is over. This one's clean. Well, aside from the fact that the rest of the leg is burned off. Alas, poor... Come to think of it, I don't think Desiree...
Bill?
What? Miles, do you really want to go carrying around those stinking ashes in your pocket? It'll take ages to get the smell out.
Good point. I'll need to find something to carry them in.
Miles... Nothing else of interest in...
There's a letter in here.
This just keeps getting more and more interesting. The law firm of Usher and Price isn't too far from here. I think it's definitely... Nothing else of interest in there. The flames must have been fairly high to be able to stain the ceiling like that. Looks like this one barely managed to survive. Pity. It looked like a nice work of art.
Was there someone else in the room just now? I thought I heard you talking.
Oh, no. It's just sometimes I think aloud when investigating crime scenes.
I see.
Good save. We don't need any more police officers thinking you're insane.
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
How long have you been on the force, officer?
2 months, sir.
And how's it treating you so far?
This is where I was meant to be.
That's good to hear.
Parsons mentioned you used to be a detective?
I was, yes, for 15 years. It wasn't always easy, but I loved every minute of it.
Parsons goes on about how he's got his eye on becoming a detective, but I don't know if I'd be able to handle it.
Is that right?
Yes. He's up for review. I think he's trying to impress Snelling to improve his chances.
Thanks for your time, officer.
Not a problem.
No title.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the law offices of Usher and Price. May I help you?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator, and I'm looking for Jonas Usher.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Usher is not seeing anyone today. If it's a matter of urgent legal importance, you could see Mr. Price.
That pipe really clashes with the rest of the decor in here. Seems like they've got some kind of modern message delivery service in here. Of all the things to spend your money on. It would be unwise to barge into Mr. Usher's office having been told we need to find a way to make him change his mind.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
Sir, it is of the utmost importance that I speak with Mr. Usher.
And as I said, he isn't taking visitors today.
But it's in regards to his client, Desiree Lathan. Or should I say, former client.
Miss Lathan found another attorney?
No, I'm sorry to be the one to have to inform you, but she's dead.
Dead? I had no idea.
No? It was in today's newspaper.
I haven't read it yet. Mr. Usher forbids it in the office.
But surely he's read it. Just because he forbids you reading the paper in the office.
No, I mean he forbids the presence of newspapers in the office. He fears they bring in outside germs.
I see.
In any case, if what you say is true, I'll need some sort of proof.
I suppose just bringing in a copy of the newspaper is out of the question, then. We'll have to find another way.
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A letter from Mr. Usher to his client, Desiree Lathan.
What? That's private correspondence. How did you get that?
It was evidence I found at a crime scene.
And how is it relevant?
The crime scene in question was Miss Lathan's own bedroom, where she was found burned to death.
That's quite a claim, Mr. Fordham. I can assure you that Mr. Usher deals primarily with facts. Right now, the only fact this letter proves to me is that you somehow rummaged through Miss Lathan's possessions and acquired it.
He does have a point. We'll need something a bit more persuasive.
Right. Please stop wasting my time then. I'm very busy.
I appreciate your time.
Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Hello there. Are you here to drop off an article?
No, actually, I'm a private investigator. The name's Miles Fordham.
How exciting. You must have so many interesting stories.
You could say that, yes.
Please, come in, come in. I'm Alan Brentwell, owner and publisher of Brentwell Magazine.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
For Whom the Bell Almost Tolled by Suki Snobs. Fascinating stuff. Confessions of a Steam Addict by Ezra Bartley. I think I'm better off not knowing. For the publisher of a sensationalist rag, Brentwell is awfully well read. Assuming he actually has read all those books, of course. Empty. Too bad. I can only begin to imagine how many lurid and salacious articles are kept in those cabinets. Brentwell has a front row seat to all the horrible things he might want to write about in his magazine.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Brentwell.
Wonderful! It's so seldom I get to answer questions.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan. Oh, why, she came to me a few weeks ago in response to an ad I took out requesting articles. She told me she had an idea readers would love. We agreed on 10 crowns per paragraph, and she was on her way. Come to think of it, I haven't heard from her in a few days.
Were you aware that Miss Lathan is dead?
What? No, I had no idea. What happened?
I'm not exactly sure. She seems to have burned to death under mysterious circumstances.
Mysterious circumstances?
Most of her body was burnt to ash, but there's very little fire damage around her. It's as though she herself just caught fire.
Oh, that sounds positively ghastly. Oh dear.
Is something wrong?
I just remembered. The article she was writing, dear God, I hope she didn't go too far with her research.
Tell me about Brentwell Mag.
We're a monthly publication focusing on both. My dream was to have a magazine that was well respected and educational. But sadly, it seems today's audiences are much more interested in reading about sightings of giant bat creatures or mysterious buried treasures. Such a pity.
I hear you have a bit of a reputation for making your reporters do questionable things for their articles.
You are mistaken, Mr. Fordham. I don't force my writers to do anything. They seem to have this notion that the more extreme their research, the more authentic the articles will be.
What sort of extremes are we talking about here?
We had one writer who attempted to heighten the sensation of fear she wanted to express in her story. Damn near decapitated herself by sticking her head through an opening at the clock tower at St. Denis Cathedral. Ugh. Thankfully, she made it out alive. It would have been quite the predicament if she hadn't. Especially considering that was our most popular article last year. Oh, people have such odd taste.
What exactly was Desiree's article about?
I'm not entirely sure. She merely came to me with the proposal.
She didn't tell you what that idea was?
She did, but I wasn't sure what to make of it.
Please, Mr. Brentwell, stop stalling and tell me what she was writing about.
It was about spontaneous human combustion.
What do you know about spontaneous human combustion?
That's the thing. I don't know very much at all. It sounded interesting enough. That's why I accepted Miss Lathan's proposal to write the article about it.
But what do you know about it?
Only that it's a mysterious phenomenon in which a person catches fire spontaneously and burns to death. It sounds exactly as you described Miss Lathan's condition.
Do you know what Miss Lathan's research on the subject involved?
Only the one contact I gave her, a Miss Angela Maxwell at the Spectre Society in Gascon.
The Spectre Society, huh? I shouldn't be surprised to hear that name again.
Are you a member?
Actually, I am.
Then I suggest you do some research there. There's bound to be something relevant in that curious library of theirs.
Thank you. Perhaps I will. Thanks for your time, Mr. Brentwell.
The pleasure is all mine.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
This all sounds strangely familiar, but spontaneous human combustion can't be real, can it? Then again, sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one.
Could I ask you about some things, Miss Maxwell?
Certainly, darling.
Are you familiar with a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Yes, she came to see me just last week. She told me she was doing research for an article she was writing for Brentwell magazine.
What sort of research?
She asked me a few questions and looked at my books. That was all. She wasn't here for very long.
And what was she researching?
Something about spontaneous human combustion, I believe.
Did you know that Desiree Lathan is dead?
What? My God, no. I didn't. What happened to her?
She was found burned to death in her bed.
How awful.
Do you have any idea how this may have happened?
There are a number of possibilities, but if she was in the middle of researching spontaneous human combustion, and then to have this happen, it can't be a coincidence.
Are you suggesting she herself was a victim of spontaneous combustion?
One need only compare the circumstances of her death with the facts, darling.
She can't be serious, can she?
What can you tell me about spontaneous human combustion?
I'm not overly familiar with the subject, but I do have a book about it on the shelf back there. You are welcome to look at it if it will help.
I may, but I'd like to know what your understanding of it is.
Well, I believe it is when the human body inexplicably catches fire and burns. It usually occurs among elderly women who drink to excess, and very little fire damage is caused around the body. That's really all I know, darling. It's not a very agreeable subject for study now, is it?
Thank you for the information. It was very enlightening.
It was my pleasure, darling.
I never much cared for.
I'll be going now.
May the spirits...
I've managed to survive the wild streets of New Britannia.
It's always nice to see you walk through that door.
Pretty, but I'm glad.
It's empty.
Good riddance.
I'll see you later, Addie.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine. Miss Robineau?
Oh, it's you again. Have you come to ask me more questions?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
No. Be my guest.
Is the name Peter Andrews familiar to you?
Peter Andrews? Is he still around?
I'd be able to tell you that if you told me who he is.
He's desperate. That's who he is. A lovesick fool who is obsessed with Desi. Sent her love letters all of the time.
Well, you know where I can find him.
Why would you want to?
Because I want to question him about Miss Lathan's death.
I suppose that makes some sense. All I remember Desi telling me is that he worked at the Bank of Vespuccia, a clerk or some such. Imagine.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to your drink.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Mr. Fordham.
Ah, Mr. Dupre. Good to see you again. Is all well with you?
Absolutely. Everything is wonderful. Because of you, this city has finally seen Laura Dupre for the monster she is. I cannot thank you enough.
I suppose you're welcome?
Now then, is there anything I can help you with?
Yes, I'm looking for Peter Andrews. I was told he worked here.
That's right. His desk is just over there.
Thank you, Mr. Dupre. Lovely seeing you.
We haven't got anything else to ask him about right now.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. May I ask you a few questions?
Yes, I suppose that would be fine. Have a seat.
I'd rather stand, if it's all the same to you. Now then. Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan? No, I can't say the name rings any bells.
You say you don't know Miss Lathan. Would you care to explain these?
Why are they crumpled up? Did she throw them out? And why do you have them?
I just love catching people like this.
Relax, Mr. Andrews. Let's take this slowly. Now, I can assume by your reaction that these are your letters?
Yes, they are.
So why did you lie about knowing Miss Lathan?
I promised my wife I would cut off contact.
But you clearly didn't. The most recent letter is from 2 weeks ago.
Did she hire you?
Your wife? No, that's not why I'm here.
Ah, well, that's somewhat of a relief then.
Were you aware of Miss Lathan's death?
What? Desiree is dead? No.
She was found burned to death in her bed.
You're lying. You have to be.
I'm afraid I'm not, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, Desiree.
Do you have any idea who might have wanted to kill her?
No, she was a marvelous woman.
Well, I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news, but at least you won't have to worry about writing any more letters.
That isn't funny, Mr. Fordham.
Yes, it was. Don't listen to him.
So your wife knows about your correspondence with Miss Lathan?
Well, I don't know if you could really call it correspondence. Desiree never wrote back. But yes, Peggy, that is to say Margaret found out shortly after we married.
Exactly how many letters did this bounder send, I wonder?
At first I tried to make it out that she was just a friend, but she found one of the more intimate ones while I was writing it.
I see. And what was her reaction?
What do you think? I still have the scar from the glass that she threw at me.
You're still married?
Oh yes. Margaret comes from a very strict Catholic family. They would sooner she'd die than divorce. It hasn't been easy. She makes sure to take full advantage of the situation. Always buying herself the most expensive jewelry and spending a fortune on food for those wretched cats. I swear, they're better fed than I am.
Where might I find Mrs. Andrews? I'd like to speak to her.
Our house is at 713 Longfellow Street, just at the edge of Gascon. But I warn you, it's a goddamn menagerie she's got. I'd stay away if you're averse to being covered in animal hair.
I'll take my chances. Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
Nice house. It definitely screams, eccentric person lives here. Speaking of which, that must be Mrs. Andrews over there with those rodents. Rats with fluffy tails. How anyone can find them endearing is beyond me.
Excuse me, Mrs. Andrews?
May I help you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I was hoping you could answer a few questions.
All right then. Don't worry, my darlings. Mommy only needs a moment to speak to the nice man, then I'll give you all the nuts you can eat. My little friends just adore nuts, Mr. Fordham.
Guess that explains why squirrels are so attracted to her.
Did you know Desiree Lathan?
Not personally. I never met her, but I knew exactly who she was.
And who was that?
A miserable drunk, always going out and getting liquored up at her so-called socialite balls. They try to make them seem so fancy and high class, but it's really just a bunch of bitter old hags getting together to gossip about each other. With that kind of lifestyle, it was only a matter of time before it caught up with her.
Do you happen to know anything about the circumstances surrounding the death of Miss Lathan?
I read in the paper that she was burned to death. In her bed, wasn't it?
That's right. Do you have any idea how that may have happened?
Well, I already told you she was a drunk. Maybe she came home plastered and decided to smoke in bed. I'm rather surprised she was sleeping alone. That woman got around, if you know what I mean.
She certainly seems to know a lot about Desiree for someone who claims to have never met her.
Do you have any hobbies or pastimes, Mrs. Andrews?
Well, of course. I do a bit of knitting and I take care of my pets.
I take it you're fond of animals?
Oh, yes. I just love animals. Most prove to be better company than people.
Is that right?
Well, consider this, Mr. Fordham. Animals can't betray you or lie.
Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going.
My furry little companions would never hurt me, unlike several humans I could name.
Who are these companions, exactly?
Why, my darling little kitties and squirrel friends, of course.
Tell me about your cats.
They're the most wonderful little dears. Do you have any pets?
Afraid not. My wife isn't too fond of cleaning up after animals.
Pity. Cats make wonderful pets. They're good company and are independent, unlike dogs. Edgar and Hubert are my pride and joy. I give them only the best of everything, and they in turn give me their unconditional love.
That's delightful.
I used to have a wonderful cat named Tobias, but, he had an unfortunate accident. That's why I never let my two angels out of the house.
What happened to Tobias the cat?
I really rather not talk about that. It wasn't my finest hour. Let's just say it was an honest misunderstanding which got blown way out of proportion.
Well, now I just have to know what happened. I hate it when people tease gossip and don't deliver.
Your squirrel friends are quite tame.
Oh, aren't they just the sweetest? And so smart, too. When I feed them, they come up and put their little paws on my hands as though they were giving me little squirrel hugs. And the way they look into my eyes, I can almost hear them saying, "Thank you for the nuts."
Well, at least you can be grateful that it's only my voice you hear and not some rabid squirrels.
Thank you for the chat. It was very enlightening.
Oh, my pleasure, Mr. Fordham. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to tending to my little darlings.
We haven't got anything else to add.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Is there anything you can tell me about your wife's old cat, Tobias?
Oh, God. There's a name I was hoping never to hear again. She loved that cat. I'm sure she would have married it instead of me if she could. Mangy little bastard was always leaving a mess and knocking things over, but he was Peggy's little angel. Then one day I'd had enough, so I let him outside, and...
Yes?
The stupid thing managed to get itself killed. Then things got ugly.
How so?
Peggy got a bit carried away, and... Well, let's just say I never imagined a cat could earn someone a criminal record.
The plot thickens. Or perhaps sickens.
Exactly what is your role here at the bank?
I'm the manager. I handle the new accounts, organize finance, that sort of thing.
Have you been here long?
Coming up on 17 years. Is this at all relevant to your investigation?
Anything could be, Mr. Andrews. Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews. Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I need some information on one Margaret Andrews. Apparently, she has a criminal record.
Margaret Andrews, eh? Give me a moment to look her up in the archives. Yes, here we are. Margaret Andrews was brought in for questioning 5 years ago in connection with a fire at a theater in Worcester.
Oh?
Yes. Nothing came of it, but she was briefly a suspect. Oh, there's more. She also had a prior conviction for arson.
You don't say.
The file says she set fire to a cab after the driver ran over her cat. She served 6 months in prison for that. This was back in 1835.
Fascinating.
Thank you for your help, Upton. This has been extremely valuable.
So, Margaret Andrews has a jealous streak and a penchant for setting things on fire. Seems a likely culprit to me.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
A few more questions for you, if you wouldn't mind.
Not at all. Be my guest.
What made you decide to start this business?
I always...
Thanks for your time.
The pleasure...
Empty. Too bad. We haven't got any... Nothing else to ask.
I've managed to survive the wild streets of New Britannia.
It's always nice to see you walk through that door.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
You've got an appointment with Charlotte Robineau later today, don't you?
Are you using your detecting skills on me now?
I spoke with her at the Gascon Supper Club, and she mentioned you. Turns out she knew Desiree Lathan.
Makes sense. That social circle is tiny.
She wasn't very forthcoming, though. Do you think you might try and persuade her to talk?
Persuasion shouldn't be necessary. She usually just sits in a chair and starts gossiping up a storm. I think I know more about all the Gascon Grand Dames than anyone should.
That's good. That's very good. Right. These are the things I want you to ask her about.
So you want me to take off about an inch, but keep enough for your curls?
Yes, that's right. You know how I like it, Adelaide.
How was the Grand Dame's ball? Was your hairdo a hit?
Oh, it was. All those other old biddies were practically fainting with jealousy. Truth be told, though, the evening was rather dull. Just the regular crowd of wags and gossips. You know, sometimes I envy people like you, Adelaide.
People like me?
Yes, you know, ordinary people. Being a member of high society can be so draining. One quite lacks a sense of purpose, of ordinary, honest usefulness that comes from a good day's labor.
Have you done much of that sort of labor yourself, madam?
What? No, of course not. But I imagine it must be quite good for the soul, quite grounding. Just being what you are. No airs or pretense. Oh, you've missed a bit there on the left ear. Do be sure it comes out even.
Certainly, madam. Has anyone special caught your eye recently?
Ha! No, I think I'm getting too old for most of the young pups I see around these days. Besides, marriage has proved to be more trouble than it's worth. I'm finished with that whole game. Although there was one fellow who came into the supper club today. Pity he was only interested in asking questions.
Oh?
Yes, the dark brooding type. Sleepless nights etched all over his face. Still handsome, though. I invited him to join me for a drink, but he refused. Said it was too early to be drinking.
Is that so?
Life is too short to be so uptight.
Probably for the best he didn't join you for that drink then. I have to say, your musical selection for today is lovely.
It's nice to know someone like you can appreciate. In case you were wondering, the piece is the Fourth Symphony by a composer named Theophilus von Wagner.
Yes, it's refreshing to hear the Fourth Symphony for a change.
Oh, you know.
Although I admit he isn't one of my favorite Baroque composers, I can appreciate what he brought to the movement. I'm more in favor of Scaravaldi. His development of the Concerto Grosso makes for much richer musical tapestry. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, well, perhaps so.
Do you have any favorites among Scaravaldi's works?
His First Symphony is quite riveting.
Do you mean his Concerto for Mandolin? He didn't have a First Symphony as such.
Well, yes, that's what I meant. As much as I enjoy chatting,
I was reading in the paper this morning about what happened with Desiree Lathan. Did you hear about that?
Oh, such a tragedy. Poor Desi. We hadn't talked in a long time, but how terrible to think of her dying in such a horrible way.
My condolences.
Thank you, dear.
Did you and Desiree used to be friends?
Oh, we were like sisters at one point.
What happened?
What else? A man got involved.
You were both after the same man?
No, quite the contrary. We both enjoyed being unattached and had vowed to keep it that way. The Spinster Sisters, we used to call ourselves. But I fell for a man a few years ago. We got married, and Desiree stopped speaking to me.
That's a shame.
Yes, especially considering the marriage only lasted a few brief months. I lost both my husband and my best friend. I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned in that.
I heard someone mention that Desiree had her portrait painted recently.
Yes, I heard that too. I think it was Caroline who told me. Yes, that was it, Caroline. She was looking for a portrait artist and told me Desiree had found one. Roger DeVay, I think she said his name was.
Roger DeVay? Sounds mysterious. Who is he?
Well, I don't know about mysterious. He's just an artist. Not a very good one either, from what I hear.
He didn't do a good job on the portrait?
Oh, no, he did fine. I just meant he hasn't really taken off. His paintings aren't worth very much, you see. But Desiree took a liking to him very quickly. Even went as far as giving him an extra key to her apartment. If there was anything more going on between them, I couldn't say. But she could have done a lot better, if you ask me. I mean, he's barely even an artist now. I heard he took a teaching position at the university. Now, who would want their likeness immortalized by a lecturer?
I see. Well, I hope he makes it in the world someday.
Miracles may happen.
Quite chilly out today, isn't it?
Yes, a good day for spending indoors.
Probably means we'll be getting an earlier winter.
It's a good thing I bought a new set of coats then.
Good. I think that's all finished.
Thank you, Adelaide. It was a pleasure, as always.
Likewise, Miss Robineau. I'll see you next week. And she didn't tip very well either.
I'm sorry, dear. She sounds positively dreadful.
No more than the other Gascon Grand Dames. I just hope you managed to get something useful from that.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
Was Desiree Lathan a client of yours by any chance?
No, but plenty of the other grand dames used to gossip about her.
What sort of things would they say?
Usually they'd comment about how much she'd had to drink the night before. I got the impression she was quite the tippler. I hope you're not planning on following her example.
That would require me to burn to death in our bed.
Then I stand by my previous statement.
You're looking especially lovely today, Addie.
Miles, don't flirt with me. Not now.
I wouldn't push my luck with her, Miles. She hasn't completely forgiven you.
Addie, please know that I'm deep. I'll do everything I can to make it up to you. Would you like me to get some new begonias?
I don't need pretty flowers or pretty words, Miles. I just want things to go back to how they were. That's really all the apology I require.
Please let me see that beautiful smile of yours, Addie.
That's enough, Miles. If you're just going to stand there and throw meaningless words at me, you're better off not saying anything at all.
But...
Stop it. I'm trying my best to move past this. Don't make it worse.
You've mucked up things enough with her for now. Best to leave her be.
Time for me to get some things done.
I look forward to your return.
All the tools an artist would ever need. Brushes, pieces of canvas, paints. I feel as though this could be relevant, but I can't really see how. I'm guessing it's locked, but it probably only contains more art supplies we don't care about. Where dreams go to die. These aren't half bad. Nice to know the students aren't completely wasting their time here. Well, so much for modesty. Ooh, is it warm in here or is it just me?
Excuse me.
Yes?
Are you Roger DeVay?
I am.
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I have some questions for you if you aren't too busy.
Will this take long? This isn't exactly the best time.
It shouldn't, no.
All right then, quickly.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree? Yes, of course I know her. What happened to her was just awful.
Indeed. My condolences, Mr. DeVay. What can you tell me about her?
She was a wonderful woman. Sharp, full of life, extremely witty. I only knew her for a short time, but I consider myself lucky to have had her as a friend.
How did you two meet?
We were introduced at a party and became fast friends. It's hard to believe she's really gone.
Do you have any information regarding Desiree's death?
No, none at all. It came as a total shock. I heard she was burned to death. Oh, is that true?
It is.
It's really just unthinkable.
Do you know of anyone who might have wished harm upon her?
No. Everyone loved her. To think someone could be capable of doing that to her, it just makes me feel sick.
You painted Desiree's portrait, is that right?
Yes. I finished it just a few months ago.
Do you often do commissioned work?
Sometimes, but this wasn't exactly a commission. More like a gift.
You mean you weren't paid for it?
No, I didn't do it for money. It was an honor just to paint her.
I see. And did she like the result?
Well, she had it hanging in her bedroom and not in her attic, so I assumed she liked it well enough.
It was a rather nice portrait, I must admit.
Oh, so you've seen it?
Indeed I have. Regrettably, I can't comment on the likeness, never having seen the subject in life.
Ah, yes. Well, she used to say that standing in front of it was like looking into a mirror. I tried my best to do her justice.
How long have you been teaching at this university?
About 4 years now.
And do you also earn money with your painting?
Not of late. I haven't sold a painting in some time. But my salary from the university is enough for the time being. Perhaps someday I'll be able to devote the proper focus to my painting.
I'll let you get back to your class.
Right.
An invitation to the Gascon Grand Dame's ball. You have to hand it to her. Definitely too young to be Miss.
I'm afraid I need to have another look inside Miss...
All right, but...
As much as I like the... Miss Lathan's half-written article about igniting the fires within. Pity we'll never be able to know how it ends. Nothing else of interest. Just a pile of ashes. I don't think Desiree will be able to give us a hand.
Bill?
What? Miles, do you... This one's clean. There's a tattoo on her ankle. That's a nice portrait of Miss Lathan. Too bad it was damaged by the fire. The area where the artist's signature should be has been singed.
But the date is still legible.
Nothing new to ask him about. Seems like they've got some... The plaque says it's a portrait of Thomas Usher. Looks like a real go-getter.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yeah?
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
No? What's that?
Right. I appreciate...
Enjoy the...
Got a moment up to...
Yes, but...
That's it for...
Better get back.
Nothing more to ask her about right now.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
I don't think there's anything she can...
I'll be going.
May the...
Well, if no one's cleaned up, you might as well do them the favor.
I'm afraid I need...
All right.
Oh, Miles, really?
It's vital to the investigation that we find out exactly what happened to the body. If anyone can tell us for certain, it's Dr. Edwards.
Fair enough. I suppose this isn't the most unpleasant thing you've carried around before. Remember that time we had to go looking for that murder victim's missing head?
I'd really rather not, actually.
Ugh. The smell from the bedroom is getting worse. I don't know how much longer I can stand it.
Oh, Dennis, really? Did you break wind?
Probably best not to disturb his class if you've got nothing.
Oh, that smell! I thought I told Mr. Usher to throw away that sandwich.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yeah.
You said you wanted proof of Miss Lathan's death? Well, these are her ashes.
Oh, what is wrong with you? Get out of here this instant, or I'll have you arrested.
What the hell were you thinking, Miles? Have you gone insane?
Begging your pardon, sir.
Get out of here, you sick freak! I won't warn you again.
Begging your pardon.
Get out of...
It would be unwise to barge. We need to find a way to... Seems like they've got some kind of...
I've managed to survive the...
Hello. Miles, did you leave the gas on again?
No, dear. I've just got some pungent evidence on my person.
Well, get it out of here before you stink up the place. My plants can only do so much.
Enjoy your reading.
I look forward.
Dear Lord, what is that smell? Did you step in something out there, Fordham?
Private investigation is a dirty job, Upton. You know that. Got a moment, Upton?
Yes?
Would it be possible for me to access the mortuary?
The mortuary? What for?
I'd like to consult with Dr. Edwards.
All right, but be careful. Make sure you don't let Snelling see you back there.
That's it for now.
Better get back.
Dr. Edwards' lab was always a fascinating place to learn about death. A bit less so now that I'm quite the expert.
Oh, did I miss cleaning up some bit of that last corpse? Oh, Fordham, what brings you down here?
Hello, Edwards. I was wondering if I could pick your brain.
Yes, of course. There's one in a jar over there, and I may have another one around here somewhere.
That coroner humor never gets old, does it?
Anyway, let me know what you want to discuss. This fellow's not going anywhere.
Assorted lab equipment for setting things on fire or causing explosions. You know, the perfect way to pass the time. Assorted lab equipment. Looks rather fresh. There's a plaque at the base of the jar that says H. Putnam. Well, at least he died with a smile on his face. Sort of. I'm pretty sure I saw Edwards weighing his lunch on this once. I remember when Edwards used to keep his collection of preserved reproductive organs on this shelf. He must be getting... Or perhaps that's exactly what happened to... I wonder if Edwards ever got around to... It's important to keep your hands clean when dealing with dead bodies. After all, you never know where they've been.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
I've got these human ashes from a crime scene.
Straight to the point. I knew I liked you for a reason, Fordham. Who do they belong to?
Desiree Lathan. She was a Gascon Grande Dame.
Oh, of course. I heard about that case. She was found burned in her home, wasn't she?
That's right.
I meant to go over there later today.
Well, then I suppose I've saved you the journey. Would you have a look at these?
Does this mean you're officially on the case?
Not as such. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention I'd been here.
Ah, clandestine operation. Sneaking around under Snelling's nose.
I don't have much of a choice. I'm pretty much persona non grata around here these days.
Well, you're always welcome in my mortuary. Preferably while still breathing, of course. Anyway, I'll just take those ashes off your hands. I'm sure your social life will soon improve.
Yes, I was making quite the impression.
This is an interesting choice of container.
It was either that or carry them around in my bare hands.
Well, I'm a bit busy right now, but I should have something for you within the next couple of hours. But you do realize the information won't be exclusive to you. I'll have to pass it on to the detectives on the case.
Naturally. That just gives me more of an incentive to work quickly. I found this piece of burned cloth at the crime scene. Could you take a look at it for me?
This is from the Latham case?
It is, yes.
What do you need me to look at exactly?
It appears to have some oily residue on it.
Interesting. I'm afraid I have my hands full right now, but you can feel free to use my workbench if you'd like.
To do what exactly?
Surely they taught you something about basic chemical analysis when you worked here.
Yes, well, I always let Bill handle the more technical aspects of our cases.
A real pity I'm not around to help you anymore, isn't it?
But I'll have a look and see if something comes back to me. You didn't examine Bill after he died, did you?
Ha! He wishes.
No, there was nothing inconclusive about his death. He died from impact after falling from the roof of a building. Why, was there something else I should have looked into?
No, I was just curious.
As fond as I am of Edwards, it would have been a bit much for him to go poking around my insides.
So, Snelling got promoted to chief, did he?
Yes, not too long after you left. Personally, I think he took advantage of your situation to change things around here.
Was it really that much of a shock? Bill and I weren't exactly the most well-liked detectives on the force.
But you were respected. You two solved over 350 cases in 15 years. You were an institution.
Damn right we were. It's so easy for people to resent their more successful peers.
Ah, Edwards. Nice to know someone missed us. Keeping busy down here, Edwards?
Oh, you know me. I've always got my hands in someone.
Edwards always did have a way with words.
This postmortem was just a formality, really. The victim died of a gunshot wound to the head. Last week, though, we had a real kicker. An old man was brought in, and though he appeared quite dead, I was told that he'd been in a trance for over half a year. Apparently, he was hypnotized right at the point of death, and somehow managed to remain alive, in a fashion. In any case, when I began performing the exam, his entire body decayed into a putrefied mess within minutes. It was fascinating.
Should you really be giving me these details, Edwards?
Oh, hell, I don't mind telling you, Miles. It's not like you're going to go tell Snelling. Besides, you're the only one who's come to see me all week. Dead people make lousy conversationalists.
Hey, I take offense to that statement.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
It's been ages since we got to do any type of chemical analysis. This will be grand!
Dr. Edwards, could you remind me what it is I'm meant to be doing?
Yes, of course. Go ahead and get as much of that oily residue from the cloth into the petri dish. Good. Now add some of the chemical reagent in the red bottle to the dish.
Aha! The oil turned orange.
Yes! The reagent has caused a chemical reaction and changed the oil's color. Isn't science fun?
Quite. But how does this help me?
I have some samples of the most common types of flammable oils on the shelf. Go ahead and add them to the test tubes. Good. Now simply check each one with the reagent to see if you can find a match.
And if I don't find one?
Then I suggest going out and looking for more oil samples.
Looks like ammonium chloride. Won't be of much use. Too bad, I would have bet on it being coal oil. So much for kerosene being the culprit. Well, oil be damned. Looks like that's not a match. Oh, you love it. An empty petri dish isn't going to be of much use to our experiment. Better dispose of the sample. We already confirmed this isn't the right substance, Ma. Not a stitch of clothing on him. As if seems to be empty for now. That's most definitely a good thing. I feel sorry for the poor slob who has to clean that out. This provides the room with just the right amount of heat. Unlike the incinerators in the crematorium. Talk about overkill. I'm pretty sure I saw Edwards.
Got a moment?
Yes, but
That's it for...
better get...
Empty. I don't think there's... I can only begin... For the publisher... All the tools an artist would ever... There's also several jars full of clear liquid. Interesting. Huh. This is linseed oil. It's used as a drying agent for oil paintings. It would be a good idea to take a sample of this, Miles. Especially now that nobody's looking. Now that we've got some linseed oil, it's probably worth testing. Well, I'll be damned. We've got ourselves a match. I wonder if Edwards knows anything pertinent about this stuff.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
What do you know about linseed oil?
It's an oil made from flaxseed that has many uses. Most commonly, it's used to dry things like varnish or oil paints. Some people even eat it for health benefits. I hear it goes well with a bit of quark.
And it's flammable?
As most oils are, yes. Where are you going with this?
The oily residue on that rag is linseed oil.
Fascinating.
But I found no trace of anything used to light a fire at the crime scene.
Uh-oh, he's getting that gleam in his eye.
Wait just a moment. Linseed oil? Of course! Anytime linseed oil is used, extreme caution must be taken to dry cure rags that may be soaked in it. That's because when linseed oil dries and oxidizes, it releases heat. A pile of rags soaked in linseed oil in a confined space runs the risk of spontaneously combusting.
How long would this take, exactly?
A few days, at least.
Interesting. It's a rather uncertain means of murder, but it's excellent for appearing accidental.
It's certainly not the most far-fetched conclusion you've ever come to.
Have you had a chance to look at those ashes I gave you?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately, there isn't much I can tell you. The victim burned to death at a very high temperature. These ashes are greasy and putrid because of liquefied fat from the body, which burned like a candle.
It's quite all right, Edwards. I appreciate the information nonetheless.
Well, just so you don't go away empty-handed, have a copy of my report. Maybe it will be of some use.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
We haven't got anything else. Nothing else to... I tried using one of these automatic money dispensers once, but I nearly got my arm stuck inside. They still got a long way to go. Yeah, impressive bit of hardware. It would take a criminal mastermind to rob this bank.
Welcome back, Mr.
I don't think there's anything...
I'll be going now. Hey, Addie. Here I am.
Hello.
You've mucked up things enough with her for now.
I'll see you later, Addie.
I look...
Probably best not to disturb his class if you've... I'm guessing it's... Well, who... Nothing more to ask her. Nothing new to add?
I'm afraid I need...
All right. Just a pile of ash. I don't think there's much else we can learn just by looking. There's a
Got a moment up to...
Yes, but let's...
I'm done with...
Oh?
She was murdered by Margaret Andrews out of jealousy. Her husband, Peter, was obsessed with Desiree and constantly sent her love letters, even after marrying Margaret. When Mrs. Andrews found out, she flew into a jealous rage and killed Miss Lathan by burning her to death.
And how did she manage to do so?
I'm unclear on the exact specifics of how, but her criminal history of arson indicates that she is the most likely culprit.
Dastardly. I'll pass along the information. Perhaps the other detectives can find a definitive link to Mrs. Andrews' method. Good work, Fordham. As usual, I'll send anything else your way as soon as I get it.
Margaret Andrews?
Yes, that's right. How may I help you, officer?
You're under arrest for the murder of Desiree Lathan.
What? But that's impossible. What proof do you have?
I'm not obligated to answer your questions, madam. Now please, come with me.
Oh, you pigs are all the same. But just you wait. Edgar and Hubert will avenge me!
Dearest, I'm back.
There you are. I was starting to get worried you wouldn't make it home in time.
In time? In time for what?
For dinner at the Rutherfords. I told you about it the other night, don't you remember?
I'm terribly sorry, dear. It must have slipped my mind.
How you haven't yet been presented a prize for Husband of the Year is beyond me.
There's still time for you to get ready if you hurry.
Why don't we spend a nice quiet evening in together? I'd much prefer that.
We've had a quiet evening in every night for the past 3 weeks. I need to get out of the house.
Then go ahead without me. Please give Anne and Joseph my regrets.
So you're just going to sit here at home by yourself?
I'll probably just catch up on my reading or try and get some sleep.
All right, suit yourself. I shouldn't be home too late, but don't wait up.
Have a wonderful time, my love.
Alone at last.
If only I were.
Careful what you wish for, Miles. You just might get it.
Seeing as I won't, I think another trip to the Angel's in order.
Oh, you're gonna break your word in addition to lying? That's bold.
Nonsense. I'll be home in no time. It'll just be a quick drink to calm my nerves and get you out of my hair.
I think I need a machete for that, Fordham.
Very funny.
So, that last case was really something. It's true. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Still, I hope they manage to find exactly how Mrs. Andrews killed Desiree. Otherwise, she's likely to be set free. You're not listening to me, are you? Oh, right, you've had 2 drinks already. Fine, I'll just see myself out.
Copper for your thoughts, Miles?
I was just thinking about my wife. I've been letting things get to me and, well, I haven't been entirely fair to her.
I'm sorry to hear that, friend. You know, I'm always here to listen.
Indeed, and I appreciate it, but I've dug my own hole. I'm the only one who can get myself out of it.
One last gin for the road?
Ah, hell, why not? It's later than I thought. Addie must be asleep.
Miles, I thought you said you were staying in tonight. What happened to you?
Nothing. I went out for a bit and lost track of time.
Miles, you're dead drunk.
No, of course I'm not.
Don't you dare keep lying to me, Miles. It's obvious. I can smell it on you.
But I'm not drunk. I only had 2, I think.
I don't care how many you had. You promised me this wouldn't happen again. Where exactly did you go tonight anyway?
I was at the Angel.
The Angel? But why would you go there?
I suppose I was just trying to relive the old days.
So why didn't you tell me you were going?
I don't know.
Miles, this has to stop. First it was that sleep medicine, now you've started to go out drinking yourself into a stupor after you explicitly promised me you wouldn't again. It's clear that you've been keeping something from me and using drugs and drink as a way to avoid dealing with it.
No, really, it's just...
No, Miles. I'm tired of the lies. I heard what you said when I came home from my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre. God forbid Adelaide ever find out about... something. I wanted to think I'd imagined it, so I let it go, but I've come to realize just how wrong I was.
Addie, please.
Enough. No more excuses, no more lying. I just want to hear the truth. What is it you're not telling me?
I can't tell you, Addie. I'm sorry, but if I do, you'll think I'm crazy.
Do you know what I think is crazy, Miles? The fact that you think it necessary to lie to your own wife. Am I to believe that for all these years you've never felt you could trust me?
Of course not. It's just that this is different.
A lie is a lie, Miles. And the bottom fact is you've been lying to me for months. Perhaps I was too naive or too distracted to see what was really going on, but you finally opened my eyes. This can't go on. I refuse to let it go on.
What are you saying?
Get out, Miles, and don't come back until you're ready to tell me the truth.
Addie, you don't mean that.
I do mean it, Miles. I don't care where you spend the night, but it's not going to be here. If you ever decide you want to tell me what's going on, I'll listen. But until then, just go. Oh.
Take me away from
Who in the ether is calling at this time of night? Oh, Miles! Please come in. It's so nice to see you outside of work.
Oh, I get a hug and a kiss? Is that how it works now?
You put up your rough and tough attitude, but I know deep down you're really a kitten.
Upton, are you drunk?
No, of course not. I admit I like to have a glass of wine or 6 to unwind after work, but I can hold my own.
Well, I'm glad you're not, because I am.
Wait, what's going on? Is everything all right?
No, I'm afraid I've made a mess of things at home. Addie threw me out.
Oh, Miles. I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Not as sorry as I am, believe me.
What happened?
It's really not worth getting into. Let's just say I need to figure some things out about my life.
Don't we all?
Constance, I hate to impose, but...
Of course you can stay here, Miles, as long as you need to.
Thank you. I won't need much space. That chair in the corner should do nicely.
Are you sure? You won't be uncomfortable?
I've slept in worse places, believe me.
All right. Well, I should probably be getting to bed. Early morning tomorrow and all that.
Of course. Have a good night, Upton, and thank you again for letting me stay.
Not a problem. Good night.